In the dark side of the galaxy, where light from stars was weak and space felt cold and empty, a small unknown ship slowly entered the Dravok Empire's outer region. It was not big, not shiny, and not powerful-looking. It was quiet, cold, and alone. But something felt wrong about it. The Dravok patrol ship named Zareth X first saw it. At first they thought it was just an old cargo drone, but when their scanners failed to read it properly, they sent a message back to the command fleet. Unidentified vessel detected. Moving. Slowly. No clear ID. Possible spy or probe. Commander Ural of the Dravok Empire listened to the message. He was old and had fought in many space wars. He didn't like surprises, especially not in their own territory. He stood up and ordered, "Send 2 cruisers. Do not wait. Destroy the object. No warnings." The 2 Dravok warships launched from the nearby battle station. Their weapons were fully armed. Their plan was simple: approach, lock target, and destroy. They had no fear. The object was small. It had no known energy readings. It was just one ship. But when the cruisers got close, something unexpected happened. The small ship suddenly moved. It turned fast, almost instantly, and its engines lit up with blue flames. It fired a sharp beam of light, a laser that cut through one Dravok cruiser, like paper. The cruiser exploded. The second one tried to retreat, but the small ship chased it like a hunter. 2 more quick shots, and the second cruiser was gone. Silence. The command fleet was shocked. They didn't know what just happened. How could a small ship take down 2 heavy cruisers in seconds? Commander Ural stared at the screen. "What kind of weapon was that?" he asked. The tech crew checked again and again. "We don't know, Commander. It's too advanced. It bypassed our shields." "Who made it?" Ural asked. Another pause. Then one officer said, "Sir, it could be human." That word made the room quiet. Everyone looked at each other. The humans were a mystery to most of the galaxy. Some said they were still weak, living on one planet. Others said they were growing fast, building strange ships in the dark. But no one had seen real human tech this deep in space before. Ural clenched his fists. "Prepare the full fleet. We are not taking chances." Within 1 hour, 20 ships moved toward the area. Fighters, bombers, and heavy destroyers, all ready to remove this unknown threat. They surrounded the zone where the small ship was last seen. Then they saw it again. It was just floating, calm, silent, almost like it was waiting. The Dravok gave a warning message in their language. "This is Empire space. Identify or you will be destroyed." There was no reply. They launched a missile. The small ship didn't run. It moved fast again, dodging the missile with a sharp turn. Then it fired a new type of weapon, an energy pulse that disabled 3 fighters. The ships fell, powerless, before crashing into each other. "Impossible!" one pilot shouted. "It's predicting our moves!" Back in the command center, Ural realized something terrifying. "This is no drone," he said. "It's fighting, like a pilot." But who would send a pilot into enemy space alone? Another officer replied, "Maybe it's not alone." That idea made everyone nervous. Was this just the start? Was this ship a scout? Was it checking their defenses? Ural ordered a hacking attempt. "If we can enter its system, we can control it." They sent digital attacks, silent, sharp, deadly, viruses to crack into its brain. But instead, their own systems began crashing. The small ship had its own counter-virus, stronger than anything they had seen. It was like it was laughing at them. Then, out of nowhere, the small ship moved again. It didn't attack. It simply turned and started heading deeper into Dravok space. No words, no threats, just flying ahead, slowly but with purpose. Ural looked at the map. "Why is it going deeper?" he whispered. "Is it looking for something or someone?" He gave the order. "Do not let it reach the inner planets. Stop it at all costs. The fleet moved in. A massive wall of firepower opened on the little ship. Missiles, lasers, plasma beams, all shot at once. It should have turned into dust, but when the smoke cleared, the ship was still there. Damaged, yes, but flying, and now it was charging at them. The screen shook as the small ship fired its main cannon again. A shockwave hit the center of the fleet. One battleship exploded. Two others lost control and began spinning. The Dravok pilots were panicking. "It's not possible," one of them screamed. "It's just one ship." Commander Ural's hands were shaking now. "It's not a ship," he said. "It's a message. A human message." And the galaxy had just received it. The small human ship, now named the Ghost, by frightened Dravok soldiers, was not running. It was flying deeper into their space, slow and steady, like it had no fear at all. Even though it was outnumbered, outgunned, and surrounded, the ship acted like it was in control. In the command ship Varnok Prime, Commander Ural stood in silence. The fleet had fired everything: missiles, lasers, pulse bombs. But the small ship had survived. It had taken damage, yes, but it had also destroyed 4 warships in return. Its weapons were sharp, fast, and smart. But what scared the Dravok even more was its strategy. It didn't fight wildly. It fought like a soldier. "This ship is not acting like a machine," Ural said softly. "It's thinking." All eyes turned to the science officer, Jektor. He was pale. His hands shook slightly. "Commander," he said, "we studied human war tactics years ago, when they were still weak. This ship is fighting exactly like a human commando unit." "But it's alone," one of the captains shouted. "No pilot would come this deep into enemy territory alone." Jektor nodded slowly. "Unless it's not just here to fight, it's here to study us." The command room went quiet. Back near the battlefield, 3 fighter squadrons tried a new plan. They flew in fast circles, surrounding the ship from all sides, trying to confuse it. One fighter got close, launched 2 missiles at once. But the ship turned upward, dodged one, and shot the second out of the air with perfect timing. Inside one of the Dravok fighters, a young pilot named Varl Tien screamed into his mic, "It's predicting our moves. It knows our patterns. It's like it's reading our thoughts." The fighter next to him exploded. Varl Tien's ship shook from the force. He pulled away fast, his heart pounding. On the command deck, the crew began to argue. "It's an AI," one officer shouted. "It must be—" "No," another replied. "AIs can't fight like this. They react fast, but they don't think ahead like this ship does." "Then it's a pilot." Commander Ural's voice cut through the noise. "Enough. Whatever it is dangerous, and it is deep in our space. We need to stop it now." He gave the next order: deploy the stealth ships. 5 black ships, almost invisible to radar or light, were launched. They moved silently through space like shadows. Their goal was simple: get close, board the ship, and capture it. The ghost ship didn't react. It kept flying straight, slowly, as if it didn't know what was coming. But then, when the stealth ships reached close range, they vanished. On the screens, one by one, their signals went dark. "What happened?" Ural asked. "Where are they?" "Gone, Commander," came the reply. "Just gone. No explosions, no transmissions. It's like they were absorbed." "Absorbed?" Ural's eyes widened. "How can that be?" Then something stranger happened. The ghost ship sent a signal. It wasn't a message. It wasn't a threat. It was a map. A map showing every Dravok fleet location, base, and weak point across the region. Everyone stared at it in shock. "It knows everything," Jektor whispered. "It's been scanning us the whole time. Every ship, every signal, every move. It was never here to win a fight," Ural said slowly. "It was here to study. And we gave it everything." Fear spread across the command deck like fire. If this was only one human ship, what would a whole fleet be like? Suddenly, the ghost ship stopped. It turned around, slowly, calmly. Then it launched upward into hyperspace, gone, not destroyed, not damaged, just finished. And the message it left behind was clear. We came to watch. Next time, we won't come alone. The room stayed silent for a long time. Commander Ural finally sat down. His voice was low and heavy. We just fought like it was a war, he said. But for them, it was just a scout mission. No one replied, because everyone was thinking the same thing. If this was just a scout, then humanity was no longer behind. They were ahead. And the Dravok had just made a very big mistake. After the small human ship vanished into hyperspace, the Dravok Empire was left in complete silence. Across their military channels, no one spoke for many minutes. Fear had spread like poison. One small ship had entered their space, fought, their best ships, and left without a scratch, after learning everything. Commander Ural stood in the war room, staring at the last image on the screen, the human scout's trail as it jumped away. He couldn't stop thinking about what they had just seen. No ordinary drone, he muttered. No mindless AI. That ship was thinking, planning. One of his officers, Captain Rel Kor, walked forward. Sir, permission to speak freely? Speak. What if this wasn't even their best unit? What if this was just a test? The room went quiet again. It was a terrible thought. If humans had sent this ship just to test their defenses, then it meant they were planning something much bigger. Back at the central science facility of the Dravok Empire, scientists were trying to understand how the small ship worked. They studied the broken black box from one of the destroyed fighters. Somehow, it had recorded a short-range signal before the explosion. That signal came from the scout ship. Inside that signal, they found something strange, a coded voice, a human voice. The message was short, and the translation was difficult, but the words were clear. Scanning complete. Forward coordinates received. Returning. The scientists shared the message with Commander Ural. He listened to it over and over again. Forward coordinates, he said. Does that mean they were scanning this area for someone else? For a fleet? A chilling possibility entered everyone's minds. The scout had come here on a mission. It had collected information, and now it was reporting back. But to whom? To a commander? To a mothership? Or worse, to Earth? We have to assume they're coming, Ural finally said it. We must prepare all defense stations. But it was already too late. In another part of the galaxy, a small, hidden human base deep inside an asteroid field was receiving the scouts' data. The ship had returned safely, covered in scars but victorious. The humans had not expected it, to fight so well or to learn so much. Inside the command center, General Ava Monroe watched the replay. Her eyes didn't blink as the Dravok ships exploded, one after another. How many did we lose? She asked. None, the technician replied. The scout returned on its own, fully functional. Ava nodded. And what did we learn? The technician showed the map. It displayed the Dravok's fleet strength, weapon types, communication styles, and even language patterns. The data was rich and clear. We know everything, he said. Ava smiled, but it was a cold, quiet smile. Good. Now they know we're not hiding anymore. Back in Dravok space, fear was turning into confusion. Some leaders wanted to attack humans before they grew stronger. Others believed it was better to stay silent and watch. But all of them agreed on one thing. The humans were not weak. At the outer edge of the Empire, a young Dravok commander named Lintar was working late when he received a strange signal. It came in quietly, like a whisper through space. Not loud, not threatening, but impossible to trace. It simply said, Scout status, active. More units, preparing. His hands began to shake. He immediately called his superiors. "This message." "It's from humans," he said. "They are sending more." Commander Ural received the report the same hour. He knew the truth now. That small ship wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an accident. It was a warning. The humans were watching, and now they were preparing. Ural walked to the large galaxy map in his command room. He placed a red marker where the human scout had disappeared. Then he placed 10 more across the border of their empire. "Put extra fleets here. Double our patrols." "But sir," Relkor said, "we don't even know where they'll come from." "That's the point," Ural replied. "We don't know. We never did." Somewhere in some dark corner of space, human eyes were watching, waiting, planning, and no one knew what they would do next. 2 weeks had passed since the human scout disappeared into hyperspace. The Dravok Empire was on full alert. Patrols doubled, satellites were moved, warships were pulled from the borders of other star systems and brought closer to the central core. But there was still no sign of the humans. Commander Ural had not slept well in days. Every beep from the communication system made him jump. Every shadow on the radar looked like a threat. He had ordered his team to scan every part of space the scout had passed through. They found nothing. No ships, no signals, no trace. "It's like they vanished," Captain Relkor said. "Or maybe they never planned to come back." "They will," Ural replied. "Humans don't run. That scout came for a reason, and it sent back data. Which means..." He paused and looked at the map again. "They're planning something big." Far away at the edge of Dravok-controlled space, a small mining colony named Volkar 9 reported something strange. A cargo drone returning from asteroid collection had seen strange lights in deep space. Not normal ship lights, but brief flashes, like energy pulses. They lasted only seconds. Then silence. When the mining base tried to contact the drone again, it was gone. No explosion, no wreckage, just gone. The report was sent to Ural immediately. "Where?" he asked. The officer marked the area. Ural frowned. "That's near where the scout disappeared." "Do you want to send ships?" Relkor asked. Ural shook his head. "No, not yet. They want us to move, to chase shadows. We'll wait." But the humans weren't waiting. Back at the secret human base, deep inside the asteroid field, the data from the scout was being used to prepare the next step. General Ava Monroe stood in front of a group of officers. Behind her, a large screen showed images of Dravok ship designs, weapon systems, and weaknesses. "Their sensors are outdated," she explained. "They rely too much on large power, cores. That makes their ships easy to track if you know where to look." One officer, a young pilot named Leo, raised his hand. "So what's the mission, General? Another scout?" Ava smiled. "No, this time they won't face just one of us." She turned to the screen again. "This time they'll face 6. The mission was called Operation Phantom Wing. 6 small but deadly human scout fighters would enter Dravok space at the same time, from 6 different directions. Each one would follow a special path, collecting more data, testing enemy reaction, and disappearing before they could be caught. It was risky, but humans were used to taking risks. Back in Dravok space, the Empire was trying to stay calm. Leaders spoke on public channels, telling citizens that the unknown threat had been dealt with. But in the military centers, everyone was nervous. Then it happened. 6 alarms at the same time. 6 systems, 6 signals, all identical. Ural was in the command center when the warning lights turned red. "Multiple intrusions!" a tech shouted. "Fast-moving ships detected. Unknown ID, but energy signature matches the human scout." Relkor looked shocked. 6 ships? "They're not attacking," another officer said. "They're just scanning, recording, mapping our systems." "They're doing it again," Ural growled. "Studying us like animals." He slammed his hand on the control table. Send fighters, all of them! In each system, Dravok warships scrambled to catch the human scouts. But it was like chasing shadows. The ships were too fast, too smart. Every time the Dravok ships got close, the human fighters used stealth fields and energy bursts to vanish. In one system, a human scout paused for just 5 seconds, long enough to scan a military station, mark its weak point, and record the reaction time of its guards. Then, it vanished again. One Dravok ship tried to block its path. The human fighter didn't shoot. It just turned its engines toward the ship and released a blinding pulse of energy. The Dravok ship spun out of control. Its engines shut down. No attack, no kill, just control. Each human ship did the same. They were not there to destroy. They were there to learn. And then, just like before, they all disappeared into hyperspace. Not one was caught. Not one was hit. Ural stood in silence. They were everywhere, Relkor said. In 6 places at once, they saw everything. And now they know even more, Ural whispered. They're building a picture of our entire empire, another officer asked quietly. What do we do now? Ural looked at the map again. There were too many weak points, too many open paths, too many ways to break them. They're not preparing for war, Ural said. They're preparing for victory. The Dravok Empire was changing. After the second scout attack, 6 human ships entering and vanishing without harm, there was no more doubt. Humans were not afraid. They were not hiding. They were planning. And they were always one step ahead. Commander. Ural stood before the High War Council, a group of the Dravok's oldest and most powerful leaders. Around the Great Hall, holograms showed every system where human scouts had appeared. Red lines connected the locations. Together, they formed a strange shape. This pattern, Ural said, is not random. They're not just scanning. They're forming a net. The council members looked at the map. It stretched across the outer rim of Dravok space. If one looked closely, it seemed to surround the inner systems, like a trap slowly closing. One council elder, old and wise, leaned forward. What is the purpose of this net? Ural took a deep breath. I believe they are mapping the safest route for an invasion. Silence filled the hall. Another general spoke. We must strike Earth now, destroy their home world before they finish preparing. But Ural shook his head. They want us to attack Earth. That's why they are showing us only scouts. They want us to fear the unknown. If we send a fleet to Earth, we might leave our core open. That's when they will strike. Back at the secret human asteroid base, General Ava Monroe was watching new data arrive from the Phantom Wing operation. Each of the 6 scout pilots had returned safely. Their ships carried detailed scans of every major Dravok defense grid. Ava smiled. Excellent work, she told the pilots. You've shown us everything we need. One pilot, Leo, asked a quiet question. Ma'am, are we really going to war? Ava paused. Not yet, but soon. The data had confirmed something important. The Dravok had strong weapons, but slow thinking. They relied too much on size and power. Their ships were like giants, loud, heavy, predictable. Human ships were smaller, smarter, faster. They think in straight lines, Ava explained to her officers, but we think in circles. That's how we win. Elsewhere, in deep space near the Dravok border, something strange happened. A civilian transport ship called Vetrak 7 was flying through a quiet sector when it saw a human signal. At first, the pilot thought it was a trick, but when they moved closer, the ship found a human beacon floating in open space. It wasn't broadcasting a message. It was showing an image, a single hologram, a map of Dravok space with one sentence glowing in red text. We are already here. The pilot panicked and sent the footage to the nearest military post. When the soldiers arrived, the beacon was gone. No trace, no clue, just like the scouts. The image and message spread fast across the empire. Even citizens began whispering rumors. Some believed humans had already placed invisible ships near major cities. Others said the humans had learned how to hack Dravok computers. Fear grew quickly. Commander Ural knew panic was close. He ordered a full lockdown of military networks. Every ship had to run silent. Every signal was tracked. But the truth was simple. They had no idea where the humans were now. That night, as Ural sat alone in his command chamber, a private message came to his terminal. It wasn't sent through any Dravok system. It had no origin code, no security ID, just a single line of text, in perfect Dravok language. You fought well, but this is not war. This is warning. Ural stared at the words. He didn't know if the message came from a human officer, a soldier, or something worse. But one thing was clear. The humans were watching him. Personally. He stood and looked at the star map once more. The pattern made sense now. The net, the scans, the silence. This wasn't war yet. This was a test. And the Dravok were failing it. In the human base, General Ava sat at her desk, reading the final scout reports. Her officers stood quietly nearby. "We've shown them our shadow," she said. "Now we wait." "For how long?" someone asked. Ava smiled slightly. "Until they make the first mistake." The Dravok Empire was growing weaker every day, not from war, but from fear. Since the last human message appeared, "You fought well." But this is not war. This is warning. No one slept peacefully. Soldiers questioned their orders. Generals argued. Civilians looked at the sky and wondered if human ships were already above them. Commander Ural knew this was psychological warfare. And he had to admit, it was working. "Look at this," Captain Relkor said, entering the command room with a data pad. 3 more military outposts reported ghost signals. No ships were seen, but alarms went off at exactly 0200. All in different systems. Ural frowned. Were they real? No proof, no damage. But every sensor caught something. Ural leaned forward. "They're not attacking us. They're haunting us." Meanwhile, the High War Council demanded answers. "How can an empire as mighty as ours be afraid of ghosts?" one noble shouted. "Send our fleets, burn their systems, show them Dravok strength." But Ural disagreed. "That's what they want. If we move, we expose our soft points. They are patient, smart. We must be smarter." But it was already too late. In a quiet sector of Dravok space, a hidden research lab named Zartek Prime suddenly went dark. All contact was lost in a second. No distress signal, no power readings. When a recon drone arrived hours later, it found the station completely offline, systems shut down, airlocks sealed, and not a single body inside. Gone. Like everyone had vanished. When the footage reached Ural, he watched it carefully. The camera showed strange marks along the walls. Burns, but too clean to be from normal weapons. No signs of battle, no broken glass. Just silence. A single message was found on a broken screen inside the command room of the station. "You should have listened to the warning." Ural's hand clenched. This was not a scout mission. This was a strike. Back at the human base, General Ava Monroe stood before a room full of elite officers. "Our infiltration team reached Zartek Prime," she said. "The station's importance was confirmed. They were working on a secret energy weapon, designed to burn entire planets." The officers looked shocked. "They were planning to use it on us first," Ava continued. "That's why we hit them. Silent, clean. No noise. No war." A tall officer asked, "Do they know it was us?" Ava shook her head. "Not for sure. And that's the point. They don't know where we'll strike next." In another corner of space, small Dravok mining colonies began reporting strange system failures, lights flickering, gravity fields changing. Some workers swore they saw shadows moving in places where no one should be. A ship captain sent a short message before losing signal. We are not alone here. I think they're walking among us. That message spread like wildfire. Were humans sending stealth soldiers? Could they cloak themselves? Could they blend in? Fear turned to paranoia. Every Dravok looked at the other with suspicion. And somewhere far beyond, humans continued to watch silently. Ural gathered his officers. We must prepare for ground infiltration, not just space attacks. I want security teams at every important station. No one gets in or out without scan clearance. But Relkor was already pale. Sir, what if they're already inside? Ural said nothing. He didn't know any more. That night, deep in the heart of the Empire, inside a massive fortress on the planet Tavrix, something happened that had never happened before. The central war server, containing all battle plans, codes, defense locations, went offline for 6 minutes. When it came back, nothing looked touched, but Ural's personal terminal now had a new file. It was unmarked. He opened it slowly. A simple image appeared. A Dravok war map. But this time it was marked with red circles. Every weakness in their empire, from energy relay hubs to communication satellites to slow response fleets. At the bottom, one line glowed in human script. This is not war. This is preparation. Ural stared at the screen, his blood cold. They had been inside the most protected system in the Empire and left without a trace. Back at the human asteroid base, Ava stood alone in the dark. Are we ready? A voice asked behind her. Ava nodded. We were never unready. But now, they believe. The officer stepped forward. Should we strike next? No, she said. Let them collapse from the inside. The Empire is shaking. Its people are losing trust in their leaders. Let that break them. She turned and faced the stars. When the time is right, we won't fight them. We'll walk in.